Hello everybody, this is Sean Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and we're back with another of our 5-minute Histories videos. And today I'm downtown at Baltimore and Calvert Street. And if I were down here about this time of year, but 118 years ago, it would not be a chilly 20 degrees outside, it would be an inferno, 1,000 degrees, maybe upwards of 2,000 degrees. Historians of the 1904 fire called this the hottest corner, and indeed in a downtown ablaze and flame, this was the hottest spot. Today we're going to talk about the building behind me, the Alexander Brown and Sons Investment Bank, as well as the 1904 fire, and we're going to do a little trick. We're going to head up to the Fire Museum of Maryland and talk with Stephen Heaver, their director, who's going to share with us a few of their artifacts that are related to the fire. But before we head on up, let me say a word about where the fire started to begin with. It started where basically the Royal Farms Arena is today at a company called the John E. Hurst and Company building. Although the origins of the fire are still a little murky, most historians agree it started when a cigarette butt or cigar butt fell through a broken dead eye in the sidewalk and caught a pile of linens on fire. And if you're looking at your screen saying, did he say dead eye? I did say dead eye. Baltimore buildings, many of them downtown, had basements that extended underneath the sidewalks as extra storage. And to bring natural light in, they embedded pieces of round or circular glass in the sidewalk that, while opaque, allowed at least a little bit of light down in there. And those were meant to withstand foot traffic. But over the years, as people's canes and umbrella tips jabbed into them, some of them broke, including the one in front of the John E. Hurst Company building. And it happened that a cigarette or cigar butt likely fell into it, causing the fire. The fire burned for 30 hours and blew eastward to the Jones Falls River, where the river stopped it. But in its path lay 1,500 buildings that had been caught on fire, but not this one. So that begs the question, how did this little building, built in 1901 by Alexander Brown and Sons, how did it survive? Certainly the heavens were smiling down on it, but also with a good dose of thermodynamics. Think of the California condor soaring above the cliffs at Big Sur, riding a thermal updraft to help it not have to flap its wings. Well, the same thing happened here. As the fire was spreading from tall building to tall building, the embers floated over the top of this small building, but instead of falling onto the roof, they floated upwards on a thermal updraft to the unfortunate buildings nearby. The building survived, including the tremendous stained glass dome designed by Gustav Baumstark, a noted artisan of the day. And certainly when the Alexander Brown folks came back, were allowed back downtown, they were amazed that their building survived. And maybe to celebrate their luckiness, or maybe to show how strong their financial institution was, if you look behind me, you'll see that they did not repair the brownstone. Although the building did not catch on fire, the heat was so intense that the brownstone, the face of it popped off. I think it's called spalling, and they never repaired it. So the next time you're downtown, I'll invite you to take a little detour and come over here where you can literally touch the 1904 fire. And with that, I'm going to say thanks, and we're going to head up to the Fire Museum of Maryland. We'll see you up there.
Welcome to the Fire Museum of Maryland. We are located on York Road, 1 block north of the Baltimore Beltway, and we have many, many pieces of equipment here, some of which actually fought the Great Fire in 1904. The piece that I'm standing in front of is called a water tower, and it was built in 1898 and sold to Baltimore City, where it was in service until 1961. And it is called a water tower because it's designed to flow a lot of water from the ground, where the fire engines would be on the ground. So we had to pump the water up a pipe. So if you imagine this large, long pipe coming up into the air, and then water's pumped up this pipe and onto the fire. So there's a great story that goes along with this water tower, and it involves a horse by the name of Goliath. Goliath was the wheel horse, and it was the horse closest to on the right side of the tower. So as it pulled up in front of the fire, it was closest to the Hurst Building. And within a minute or two, the other two horses had been led forward about 8 feet, and Goliath was still attached to the tower. The Hurst Building burst into flames, and the fire came out the windows and seared the horse's flank. So Goliath says, I don't want to stand here very long, and he single-handedly turned the tower, and they made a U-turn in the street, and he pulled the tower slightly downhill to a safe position just 5 minutes before the entire building fell in the street and collapsed 2 other fire engines. So while you're here at the museum, I'd like to have you experience our fire alarm office, and you'll see how the fire alarm telegraph signals were sent from the central office to all the firehouses. And I might add that the telegraph system in Baltimore during this fire worked flawlessly for both days and was just an amazing piece of technology for 1904. Thank you for coming to the Fire Museum and visiting with us today. We hope that you will make an actual visit to the museum, and you can find all kinds of information about our programs on our website, which is firemuseummd.org. Thank you.